Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanam Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Saranyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gauramanubhishtam Purnam Radha Dasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyam Rupa Manjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Bandhavam Yogacharya Narayanam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismera Hasara Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vrindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshavasacham Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramu Ramo Ramo Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradatama Shri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Satasi Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev, and to my most worshipable Shiksha and Sannyasa Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Satasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vigyana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shirupandu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time to continue reading from Sri Raya Ramananda Samvada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Raya Ramananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Deva. All glories to Sri Nityananda. All glories to Sri Advaita. All glories to the devotees of Sri Gauranga. Urvarite Prabhu Age Gamana Korila, Jiara Nishrinha Ketre Katadine de Gelo. Sriman Mahaprabhu continued his tour, and everywhere, as previously, he converted the people into Vaishnavas and submerged them in the ocean of Prema Bhakti Rasa. After a few days, he came to the holy place named Jaranisringha. Jaranisringha Ketra. 5 miles from Vishakhapatnam is a place named Simhachala, where there is now a railway station. There, upon a mountain, is a temple of Lord Nrsimhadeva. This temple in Vishakhapatnam is the most famous and affluent above all others. The excellence of its architecture captivates the minds of all. There is one engraved stone plaque commemorating that the devotionally minded wife of King Tritya, Gomkara, decorated the deity with gold leaf. The servants of Sri Nrsimhadeva reside there, along with the local people. On top of the mountains Adjoining the temple are many houses for the visiting pilgrims. The outer section of the main temple houses the Sri Vijaya Vigraha, the smaller deity who is taken out on street processions during festivals, while the inner sanctum of the temple accommodates the original deity of Bhagavan Nrsimhadev. Devotees of the Sri Ramanuja Vaishnava Sampradaya perform the worship of Sri Nrsimhadev under the patronage of the king of Vijayanagar. Some people also say that the deity of Bhagavan Sri Nrsimhadev once gave his special mercy to a devotee named Jara, and for this reason, the deity took the name Jara Nrsimha. Thus, the place came to be known as Jara Nrsimha Kshetra. Nrsimha dekhiya koilo dandavat pranati, prema veshe koilo bahu nitya gita stuti. Taking darshan of Bhagavan Sri Nrsimhadev, Sriman Mahaprabhu fully prostrated himself before the deity. Then, absorbed in prema, he sang and danced, and afterwards offered many types of prayers and glorifications to the Lord. So perhaps you know, in South India, we have this sequence of 9 manifestations of Lord Nrsimhadev, which is called Ahobilam Nrsimha. One of them, Ahobilam Nrsimha, like prominent, and then all these other Nrsimhadevas are there. Because when he appeared for Prahlada Maharaj, it was there in South India. So there is a place called Stamba Nrsimha. Stamba means a pillar where he appeared. So that place is there. Also, Pana Nrsimha is one Nrsimhadeva who drinks a special juice like lemonade with jaggery and other things, spices. Also, Yoga Nrsimha. Nrsimhadeva sitting in like a Padma asana, lotus position. And also there is Ugra Nrsimha and Ahobilam Nrsimha, this Sinhachala Nrsimha. Total of 9 very beautiful darshans of Nrsimhadev. Amazing. If you are curious to know about, there is an ISKCON devotee who made like a full video documentary about it. It's very nice. You can find on YouTube, called Ahobilam Nrsimha, and he shows very, very nicely. I really want one day also be able to have this darshan there. It's very nice. So continue here. Here, some people may consider that because Sri Gaura Sundar is Brajendra Nandana Shri Krishna, endowed with the mood and complexion of Srimati Radhika, Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalita, Shri Krishna Swarupa, surely he will hold only the ecstatic mood of Srimati Radhika, tasting exclusive prema for Shri Krishna of Braj. Why then does he become absorbed in prema by having the darshan of Nrsimhadev, who is in the mood of awe and majesty? So Gurudev is putting a question here. How Mahaprabhu can feel ecstatic by having darshan of Nrsimhadev? Nrsimhadev belongs to Vaikuntha, and Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself with the moods of Radhika. So our Goswamis, they provide the answer. They state that Shri Krishna is the quintessence of all the incarnation of Bhagavan, the Supreme Person. He is the personification of all transcendental mellows, Akila Rasamrita Murti, the shelter of unlimited varieties of rasa, and the personification of wonderful, extraordinary transcendental sentiments. Only by tasting each of the unique varieties of rasa does the taste of Shri Krishna's sweetness reach its fullness. Shri Nrsimhadev is also a form of Bhagavan. Thus, there is a particular variety of rasa or flavor in him. Therefore, on the day when Sriman Mahaprabhu had darshan of Shri Nrsimhadev, his heart developed the desire to taste that special flavor. Upon that desire being completely satisfied, he became absorbed in prema and began to dance and perform kirtan. So here Srila Gurudev gave something, but I believe there is much more to say, but I'm a little bit afraid of touching these points. But maybe in future we can even clarify more about Lord Nrsimhadev and many things. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Prahladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. All glories to Bhagavan Shri Nrsimhadev. All glories to the Lord of Shri Prahlad. All glories to you who are like a bumblebee, always hovering about the lotus-like face of Shri Lakshmi Devi. All glories to you. Sridhara Swami has composed the following two verses in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, 1.1.1 and 10.87.1, as a means of offering his obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadev. He writes, Prahlada Hridoyaladam Bhakta Vidya Vidaranam Sharadinduruchim Vande Parindra Harim Vagishavadane Lakshmi Yasya Chavakshasi Yasasteri Samvitam Nrsimha Maham Bhaje. I offer my prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, who always gives happiness to the heart of his devotee, Sri Prahlad, who always dispels the ignorance of the devotees, and who is endowed with a complexion as effulgent as the autumnal full moon. I offer my prayers to that Bhagavan Shri Nrsimha, upon whose tongue Saraswati, the goddess of speech, eternally stays, upon whose chest Lakshmi always resides, and in whose heart dwells the transcendental potency of spiritual consciousness. While describing the speciality of the mercy of Sri Bhagavan, Sriman Mahaprabhu glorifies Sri Nrsimhadev through the following verse, personally composed by Srila Sridhara Swami in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.1. Ugropi anugra evayam swa bhaktanam nrikeshari kishariva swa puttanam aniyesham ugra vikramaha. Just as a lion is exceedingly cruel, powerful, and a cause of great fear for others, yet is very affectionate and merciful to his own cubs or cubes, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. Bhagavan Shri Nrsimhadev is exceedingly ferocious towards demons such as Hiranyakashipu, yet is always full of affection for Prahlad and his other devotees. Ei motonana shloka puri stuti koilo Nrsimha seva kamala prasada ani dilo. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited many different verses in glorification of Bhagavan Shri Nrsimha. Seeing Sriman Mahaprabhu's devotional sentiments, Lord Nrsimhadeva's servant then brought garlands and the remnants of the Lord's food and offered them to him. Purvatakona vipre koilo nimantran shairatri taharahi korila gaman. As happened before, a Brahmana came with an invitation for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord passed the night there, and early the next morning, he again commenced his tour. Prabhate utiya Prabhu chalila pramaveshe digvidik nahi gyana ratri divase. The next morning, Sriman Mahaprabhu rose and, being absorbed in prema, started out again on his tour. Owing to his great ecstasy, he had no knowledge of the proper direction or whether it was day or night. Purvavata Vaishnava Kori Sarvaloka Ghane Godavari Tire Prabhu Aila Kattodine. As before, Sriman Chaitanya Deva converted all the jivas there to Vaishnavism, and after some days, the Lord reached the banks of the river Godavari. Godavari deki hoilo Jamuna smaran, Tirevana deki smriti hoilo Vrindavan. As soon as Sriman Mahaprabhu caught sight of the river Godavari, he remembered the river Sri Jamuna, a vision of which manifested in his heart. Thus absorbed, when he saw the forest on the banks of the Godavari, Sri Vrindavan appeared upon the screen of his heart. He understood the Godavari to be the Yamuna and the forest there to be Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu had this vision, comparing that place to Vrindavan. But doesn't mean that that place is Vrindavan itself. Same thing which happened in Jagannath Puri when he sees this Chataka Parvat as Govardhan and the ocean as Jamuna. But doesn't mean that that place represents these two, places of Vrindavan. It's just his own, imposition of feelings. The symptom of the Mahabhagavat, the devotee on the highest platform of devotional service, is that wherever he goes and whatever he sees become udipana, stimulants or causes of remembrance of his worshipable Lord and all that is related to him. Seeing the purifying holy water of the Godavari caused within Sriman Mahaprabhu's mind an awakening of the water associated pastimes of Braja. He remembered especially the emperor of all Braja pastimes, the Rasa Lila, because it occurred in Sridham Vrindavan on the banks of the river Yamuna. Therefore, he became immersed in the fathomless ocean of Braja's sweetness. It also happened with Srila Gurudev. Once he was walking in New York and his morning walk, and then suddenly he said, oh, some people think that I'm just walking here on this street of New York, but actually I'm not here. I'm in Vrindavan. You people can see buildings and things, but I only see the path of Vrindavan's forest. Like that. Seivane katakkana kori nityagan Godavari parahanna taha koilo snan. Mahaprabhu remained for some time in that sanctified forest, singing and dancing. Afterwards, the Lord crossed the river and took his bath on the other bank. Ghattachari kottodure jalo sannidhane Vasi Prabhu kore Krishna nama sankirtane. After bathing in the river, Sri Chaitanya Deva left the bathing place and walked a little distance from there. Sitting near the water, he engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna. So here someone may inquire as to why Mahaprabhu did not remain seated at that holy bathing place to perform Nama Sankirtan. Why did he move a little distance away on that same shore? Our Goswamis have explained that the continuous traffic of persons bathing at the ghat or bathing place could have presented an obstacle to his tasting the nectar of chanting the holy name. Therefore, Mahaprabhu chose a place that was more suitable for kirtan, more peaceful, not many distractions, not many sound, people talking, and so many things. So go to secluded place and then chant. This is much better. Henokale dolaya chari Ramananda Rai snana koribare aila bhajana bhajai. At that time, Sri Ramananda Rai, sitting in a special palanquin fit for a king, arrived there to take his bath. Accompanying him were musicians playing on their instruments. Why were they playing music? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it was customary at that time to have musicians preceding any famous royal officer on his journeys. Thus, Sri Ramananda Rai, seated in a palanquin and accompanied by instrumental music, was offered the appropriate royal respect as he traveled towards the bathing place where Mahaprabhu sat. Tara sange bahu aila vaidika brahmana Vidimate koilote ho snannadi tarpana. Many Vedic mantras were accompanying Sri Ramananda Rai who took his bath according to the Vedic rituals and offered oblations. In this Bengali verse, the word Vidimata, meaning according to the Vedic system, does not indicate the smarta method of ritualistic worship, which is based simply on an external understanding of the system of Varnashram Dharma. Rather, it is understood that Sri Ramananda Rai performed his bathing and offering of oblations to his ancestors according to the Vaishnava methods prescribed in literatures such as Sri Haribhakti Vilas. Some so-called intelligent and learned persons say that Sri Ramananda Rai was personally well-versed in the Vedas, and that although he was a pure devotee, he still followed Varnashram Dharma with complete faith. Indeed, he himself was the foundation of the Varnashram system. Therefore, he performed the activities of taking bath and offering oblations to his forefathers, according to the injunctions of the scriptures. Yet, the great and learned spiritual master, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, has refuted this by stating that Sri Ramananda Rai was a Shuddha Bhakta, and that there is no need at all for such a pure devotee to follow the rules of Varnashram Dharma. The term Shuddha Bhakta actually means that such a person has abandoned Varnashram Dharma and follows only devotional service to Shri Krishna. It is for this reason that Sri Ramananda Rai is said to be the topmost of all devotees. From this, it is clearly evident that Sri Ramananda Rai was not at all a follower of Varnashram Dharma. So, just maybe someone does not know, it's good to clarify that the Smarta Brahmanas, they're called Smartas because they follow strictly the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. Means they have to follow all the different rituals and things according to the Karma Kanda section. But those who are in a platform of bhakti, they do not need to follow this Karma Kanda section, and therefore their rituals and their procedure is different or are different. So in this way, Ramananda Rai, he was not in that category of Smarta Brahmana. He was a pure Vaishnava, and Vaishnava Dharma is based on Bhakti Kanda, not Karma Kanda. Prabhu tahe dekhi janila ei Rama Rai, tahare milite Prabhur mana utidai. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sri Ramananda Rai, he knew immediately who he was, and a great eagerness to meet him awoke within the Lord's mind. Totapidhaira dhori Prabhu rohila vasya, Ramananda ailo apurva sannyasi dekhiya. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to meet him, he remained sitting patiently. Sri Ramananda Rai, a little distance away from the bathing place, saw the astonishing and wonderfully beautiful sannyasi and came near. Surjashatta samakanti oruna vasana, suvalita prakhanda deho kamala lochana. The bodily effulgence of that sannyasi was as brilliant as unlimited suns. His saffron garment was covering the Lord, who was large in body and very strongly built, and whose eyes were like lotuses. It should be known that even though his bodily effulgence was more brilliant than millions of suns, it did not give any pain to the eyes. Rather, it bestowed a great ecstasy. It's good to make this point, no? If something is very bright, it will make you blind. Any material light, when it's too bright, makes you blind. But the spiritual effulgence coming from Mahaprabhu's body never hurts your eyes. It just makes you feel very much ecstatic. দেখিয়া তাহার মনে হইল চাতমকার, হাসিয়া করিল দণ্ডবত নমস্কার. The sight of the astonishing sannyasi struck the heart of Sri Ramananda Rai with wonder. He approached him and respectfully prostrated himself, falling flat like a stick before him. Sri Ramananda Rai was astonished to see the extraordinary beauty of the Lord and his great otherworldly effulgence. Because he was a pure devotee, he fell flat like a stick at the divine feet of the Lord. Uti Prabhu kohe uta koho Krishna Krishna, tare alingite Prabhu hridaye satrishna. Sriman Mahaprabhu, seeing him offering obeisances, stood up and said, please get up, please get up, chant Krishna Krishna. Indeed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to embrace him. Tothapi puchilo tumi Rai Ramananda, teho kohe hannamui dasa Shudramanda. Although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood who he was, still he inquired, are you Rai Ramananda? To this he replied with great humility, yes, this unfortunate Shudra is your servant. তবে তারে কইল প্রভু ধৃত অলিঙ্গন, প্রেমাবেশে প্রভু বৃত্ত দোহে অচেতন. Hearing this, Sriman Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Ramananda Rai very firmly. Indeed, both the master and the servant, absorbed in ecstatic love, lost consciousness. Swabhavika prema dohar uday korila, duha ke olingia dunhe bhumite porila. Natural love for each other awakened in both their hearts, and in their embrace, they both fell down to the ground unconscious. It reminds about the meeting with Nityananda Prabhu. It was also very ecstatic like. In Sri Chaitanya Bhaktivinod Thakur's Amrita Pravaha Bhashya of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that the prema between them was natural. Actually, Sri Ramananda Rai is Vishakha Sakhi in Sri Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, as Sriman Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Sri Radha and Krishna, the natural love of the divine couple for Vishakha Sakhi and the love of Vishakha Sakhi for them manifested immediately upon their seeing each other. So it means that she is embracing Radha and Krishna at the same time. She's receiving the love of Radha and Krishna simultaneously from that embrace. Perfect, naturally occurring prema is not achievable by spiritual practice. The relationship between the devotee and Bhagavan is something like this. When the devotee sees his worshipful Lord, unlimited towering waves of prema arise within his heart. And when Bhagavan sees his devotee, then his Bhaktavatsala, or fathomless ocean of affection for the devotee, churns within his heart. Thus, both of them become bewildered. Stambasveda Ashrukampa Pulaka Vaivarnya Dunhara Mukete Shuni Gada Gada Krishna Varna. When they embraced each other, the 8 ecstatic transformations, such as becoming stunned, perspiration, tears, shivering, paleness, and horripilation appeared on their bodies. Their voices became choked, and both began to chant Krishna, Krishna. They both tried to conceal their natural, eternally perfect love for each other, but they could not. Both became helpless due to the towering waves of prema, and their throats became choked. Dekiya Brahmana Gonira Huilo Chatmakar, Vaidika Brahmana Shava Korina Vichar. When the ritualistic Vedic Brahmanas who accompanied Sri Ramananda Rai saw this astonishing meeting, they were wonderstruck. They reflected within their minds. It means they thought, Eito sannyasira teja deki brahma shama shudre alingiya kene korena krandhana. Ei Maharaj Mahapandita Gambhir sannyasi disparshe mata hoilo astir. The effulgence of this sannyasi is like Brahma itself. But despite this, he is crying upon embracing this Shudra. Sri Ramananda Rai, why is this? The Vedic Brahmanas considered Sri Ramananda Rai to be a supremely learned personality, naturally very grave. So why did he become so excited, like a mad person, upon touching this sannyasi? So no one could understand the behavior of Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai, he's a Shudra by birth. But that's not into consideration here because he's a pure devotee of Krishna. But according to the rules, like this what to say, Varnashram rules, the Brahmana should not embrace a Shudra, especially if he's a sannyasi. So therefore they become surprised. And secondly, Ramananda Rai, he was a very respected royal personality. He was working for government, and he was a very grave and serious, especially in front of the servants and in front of the people who are like serving him. He should be always very grave and like profound. But he lost completely that gravity, and he's now dancing and he's rolling on the ground. He's unconscious. He's like chanting like a mad person. They became shocked. They have never seen such type of behavior before in Ramananda Rai. The Vedic Brahmanas were considering Sri Ramananda Rai to be a Shudra, a member of the lowest social class. The scriptures forbid sannyasis to touch members of the Shudra community. This sannyasi, who is certainly very effulgent, the Brahmanas reflected, it's not only touching Sri Ramananda Rai, but he's binding him up in his tight embrace. How can this be? Sri Ramananda had indeed described himself as a Shudra when he offered obeisances. In the district of Vidyanagar, he was the royal representative of King Prataparudra and had experienced all the enjoyment befitting a ruler. Due to performing service to a king, his nature and activities should have been inclined towards irreligion. His dress and ornaments were that of a servant of the king. Therefore, it was not proper for a sannyasi to touch him at all. So if Ramananda Rai wasn't a pure devotee, then definitely Mahaprabhu or any other Vaishnava shouldn't do like that. In the same way that Mahaprabhu did not even want to see Patraparuda Maharaj, because he was a king. He was like a very rich person, very important person. Mahaprabhu would say, oh, these people I don't want to see. What to speak of touching and embracing, right? So the only reason is because Ramananda Rai is a pure devotee. In fact, Sri Ramananda Rai's familial connection was with the Kshatriya, or administrative class of persons. Furthermore, he was a great Shuddha Bhakta, or pure devotee. By declaring himself a Shudra, he manifested the mood of Trinadapi Sunich, regarding himself lower in the status than the straw on the street. Sri Ramananda Rai was a Parama Bhagavat, or a devotee of the topmost caliber, and a complete knower of Bhakti Tattva. Because the Vedic Brahmanas did not know the factual identity of Mahaprabhu, they took him for a mere sannyasi. They also considered Sri Ramananda Rai to be supremely learned personality, naturally very grave. Why then did he become so restless, like a mad person, upon touching this sannyasi? This was the cause of the Vedic Brahmanas' astonishment. Ei mato vipragan bhave moneman Vijati aloka deki Prabhu koilo samvaran. Sriman Mahaprabhu is Antaryami, or the indwelling super soul, and supreme witness in the heart of all. Knowing that the Brahmana's sentiments were opposed to pure devotion, he concealed his emotions. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says that these Brahmanas were opposed to Sriman Mahaprabhu, whereas Sri Ramananda Rai was indeed most favorably disposed to him, and was in fact the most surrendered and intimate devotee. Despite being in close proximity to a pure devotee, those Brahmanas maintained their faith in the materialistic process of performing action with the desire for the fruits, means karmakanda. For precisely this reason, those Brahmanas are said to be non-devotees and opposing elements. It is proper for devotees to conceal loving exchanges in front of those who are not inclined to serving Bhagavan and who are fixed in following the materialistic path of karma. So finally, Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they understood where they were, surrounded by many unfavorable people, and they quickly, try to again hold themselves, stable. Sustohana dunhe seistanete vasila tobi hashi Mahaprabhu pohite lagila. Concealing their emotions and regaining their external consciousness, they again became sober and sat down together. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then smiled. It is never possible to obstruct the joyful bliss of the devotees, and began to speak. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya kohilo tomar gune, tomar milite mora korila jattoni. All right, before I came here, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya greatly extolled your good qualities and insisted on my meeting with you. Toma mili bare mor eta agaman, bhalo hoilo annayase pailung darashan. Indeed, I have come here only to meet you. It is very good that with great ease I have gotten your audience. Rai kohe sarvabhauma kore britto gyan paraksheho mora hite hoi savadhan. Shri Ramananda Rai replied, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya directly accepts me as his servant and indirectly always acts for my welfare. Tara kripai painu tomar darashan ajilo safala hoilo mor manusya janam. Only by his mercy I have received darshan of your lotus feet today. By virtue of this, I now consider that my human birth has become successful. Human birth is extremely rare. Only by the special mercy of Bhagavan can one attain the human form of life. It is impossible to perform bhajan of Bhagavan in any other species. It is not even possible as a demigod. The human body is itself the very root of bhajan. Only by this human body it is possible to hear topics of Lord Hari in the association of saintly persons. Take shelter at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Perform the limbs of devotional service. Become free from unwanted habits and develop through the stages of Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, etc. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20-17 states, Nirdeha adyam sulabham sudurlabham, plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam, mayanu kulena nabhasveteritam, umam bhavadbing nataretsa atmaha. It is said that the human form of life is the basis of all auspiciousness. It is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of birth and death. In the human form of life, one may obtain the guidance of a good navigator or the spiritual master. One also gets the assistance of a favorable wind, which means the instructions and the mercy of Krishna as given in the scriptures. If, however, one does not take advantage of this opportunity and wastes the human form of life, then he is a killer of his own self. It is according to this reason that Sri Ramananda Rai now considered this his human form of life successful, having obtained the darshan of the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhaumi tomara kripa tara e chin, asprisha sparshile hanna tara premadhina. Sri Ramananda Rai continued, I can see that you have bestowed great mercy upon Sri Sarvabhauma. The proof of this is that, being controlled by his love, you have touched me, although I am an untouchable. Kaha tumi sakshad Ishvara Narayan, kaha mui Rajya Sevak Vishai Shudradham. Who are you? You are the Supreme Controller Narayana himself. And who am I? I am a materialistic enjoying royal opulences, the most fallen Shudra engaged in enjoying the objects of the senses. Mora sparshana korile grinna veda bhai, mora darshana toma vede nishedhai. The Vedic injunctions have forbidden you to even look at me. However, you have not considered these prohibitions, and you did not feel contemptuous of my touch. Indeed, it is forbidden for sannyasis like you to even see persons such as myself. So Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur says that in this verse, Srila Ramananda Rai sees himself as the most fallen materialistic Shudra. It is true that he did not take birth in a family of Brahmanas. Rather, he was a transcendental Brahmana, initiated according to the Ekayana branch of the Vedic tree. So Gurudev, he puts a footnote to explain what's the meaning of Ekayana. Ekayana means one path or exclusive devotion. On December 30, 1928, the great scholar Pramatanath Tarkabhushana came to the Gaudiya Math and heard an extensive explanation of the Deva Varnashram system from Srila Saraswati Thakur. In January of 1929, Srila Saraswati Thakur established the Ekayana Gaudiya Math in Krishnanagar. At the opening ceremony, he gave a lecture with an original explanation on the single path of exclusive devotion, showing that it is the trunk of the Vedic tree and the various other paths are its branches. So this excerpt was taken from the book Associates of Sri Chaitanya, Volume 2, by Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj. So, thus, he was a pure Mahabhagavat, a liberated devotee of the highest order, devoid of any material desires. The high-born Vedic Brahmanas had been initiated into the performance of all varieties of yagyas, after studying thousands of branches of the Vedas. Considering Sri Ramananda Rai to be a Shudra, they thus guaranteed themselves entry to the hellish regions, as is confirmed in the Padma Purana. Vikshate jati samanyat sayati narakam dhruvam. A person rushes to hell when he considers the devotee of the Lord to belong to a particular caste or caste in terms of birth. Whosoever is desirous of factual spiritual attainment and genuine auspiciousness should become the servant of Sri Ramananda Rai. So all this situation which was brought up here, like all these social dealings, all this like a type of political issue inside of the Vedic society, it's a matter of what to say, concern, for so many people. especially in the West, many people don't know that the caste system of India, of Veda, is something bad, because it was propagated by the British, that this caste system is causing oppression, causing what to say, injustice, social injustice, and so many things like that. But first of all, who are the British to speak like this? They went to slaughter the Hindus there, and to like slave them. But even the Hindus who propagate that, they are also not understanding properly the Vedic scriptures, right? All this caste system, it helps the society to organize itself according to everyone's talents, according to everyone's spiritual qualification, actually. Some people with materialistic conception, especially those who are like Marxists or socialists, not like communists, they criticize, saying this, that this caste system is like, to protect the elite of the Vedic system, and all these things, and to, keep the, like, segregated poor people like that. It's not true. Every society is based on spiritual merits. And if you do good, then you're going to be awarded a higher position according to your, what to say, according to what you deserve. You have done good, so you deserve good. Then you're going to be higher in society. So those who are performing this karma kanda, which is not wrong, it's not completely perfect, but also not wrong, because karma kanda has to be followed, at some point or for some time. In Jaiva Dharma, it's very well explained, because not everyone has capacity for bhakti kanda or jnana kanda. Then they must follow karma kanda. Something is better than nothing. And when they will, gradually progress, they will, move towards bhakti kanda. So these divisions of caste, it's very, very important, so that you can know who is who in the society. It's much easier to organize everyone. But it's not based on birth. It's based on merit, means your own qualification. You may take birth as a Shudra, but you have qualities of a Brahmana. Or you may take birth as a Brahmana and you have the qualities of a dog eater. What to speak of Shudra? Shudra is very high. Shudra is part of Varnashram. You can become like a dog eater, like a no caste, outside of caste system. So it depends on your behavior like that. So, but once you reach the level of Vaishnava, then even all these, designations are vanished. Even if you are a outcast, or you are coming from like a family of cows eater, or any type of other religion like Muslim or Buddhist, anything like that, or Christian, you can become like worshipable in the highest position of the Vedic society, because Vaishnavas are the topmost. So in this way, we're going to stop here. You can write down for me, please, Prabhuji, this page where we stopped, 24. So we will continue next time. Hare Krishna.